Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Devblog Chats. This is many miles away, and we're going to be discussing some of the new stuff that's come out recently regarding the ground forces for the upcoming patch 1.61. So without further ado here, let's get right on into it, and we're going to be discussing first the Sturmpanzer 4, commonly called the Broombar, but I'll get into why it's not particularly historically accurate. Before I do that, I'm going to show you a short clip from a series of documentary videos that I personally love. They're called the German War Files series, and they are a fantastic source for particular vehicles and short descriptions on them. So here's a short clip from that talking about the Sturmpanzer 4.
Making its debut with the 216th Sturmpanzer Abteilung at the Battle of Kursk in July 1943 were 60 Sturmpanzer 4 Brumbars. This machine had been designed as a heavy armoured assault vehicle and had found particular favour with Hitler, who'd ordered its production in October 1942. The SIG-33 was ball-mounted in a very heavy armoured box with 100mm of armour to the front and 50mm on the side. The first version lacked a forward-firing machine gun, and the driver's vision slit was mounted low down on the front superstructure face. The mid-production Brumbar could be distinguished by the periscope mounted on the driver's housing. A fleeting glimpse of a late-model Brumbar can be caught behind the vehicle's crew as they line up to be presented with decorations for their bravery whilst engaged in heavy fighting with British forces on the border with Holland. The armoured superstructure of the Brumbar offered comparatively greater protection and space for its five-man crew than did the hull and turret of a standard Panzer IV. In addition, the late model Brumbar had been substantially reworked to incorporate significant improvements to the design. The omission of a machine gun for close-in defence was rectified by fitting a ball mount high on the left side of the front superstructure plate. Armoured configuration on the front plate was also improved.
If you guys enjoyed that sort of style of dictating and talking about a little bit about the vehicle, I will leave a link to the entire series of German War Files that I can muster down in the description below. Now, the name Brumbar was actually not even used by the Germans at all. It was a name given to the vehicle by the Allies. Whether that was post-war or during the war, I figure it was most likely during the war when that occurred. However, the German soldiers had officially named it the Stupa, which is a shortening of the word Sturmpanzer, because, you know, the Germans like to create these long compound words, which is what the German language is famous for. However, Brumbar does not actually mean grizzly bear. That is actually a translation to grumbler, hence why they gave it the title, the High Caliber Grouch, on the War Thunder Devblog page. Now, before I go any further, I should definitely clarify that this is not going to be a researchable vehicle. This is going to be a Tier 3 premium. God knows why, because I would really like to see this thing in the research tree. No offense to you, Gaijin, but really the last thing the Germans really need right now are Tier 3 dirt premiums. So we've got the German KV-2 already. Now, granted, this thing is technically more derpy because this vehicle's high explosive shell carries about 8.6 kilograms of explosive filler in them. To put that in perspective, the ISU-152, the famous derp gun, has only 5.9 kilograms of high explosive filler in its shells. This effectively makes this thing even more powerful than the KV-2 and the mighty Troll Cannon, which is absolutely insane. And on top of that, it's also capable of carrying hollow charge rounds or heat rounds. So not only do you have the availability of these 38 kilogram, that's the full mass of the shell, high explosive rounds, you also have these 38 kilogram heat rounds, which are going to deliver devastating damage on anything that they hit. And since they're heat rounds, if you manage to hit anything at long range, you're going to have the exact same penetration characteristics as if you shot them right in the face at close range. So why am I overall excited about this vehicle? Well, it's pretty simple. This thing's much more powerful than a KV-2! I mean, how many other vehicles can claim that their high explosive shells literally have more explosive mass than a KV-2? Not many. So with that literal bombshell, I am going to transition over to the second vehicle here that has been announced in the last week. And that's going to be the M60A1 Patton Mark III. Now, this was an upgraded version of the commonly and well-known M60 patent that's already here in War Thunder, except this features a much better turret design. One of the problems with the original M60 that the US found was that it could not take a frontal hit to the turret from a 100mm D10T, which is the main armament of the T-54. It just wasn't capable of taking the shot. So they redesigned the turret and redesigned the crew compartment in the turret area to better facilitate this. Now, this wasn't the only modification that they made to the M60. One of the things that they installed shortly after installing the new turret on this M60 platform was they added the M16 ballistic fire control system. And what this allowed the gunner and commander to do was to input firing solutions into this computer, and it would automatically calculate the distance, the elevation, and a few other factors needed to get first round hits. Now, granted, this is all gyroscopes and mechanical stuff, so it wasn't an electronic computer. However, it was still extremely effective at improving first round hit probability, which I don't know how they're going to implement that into War Thunder, but the fact that they've mentioned it means that they probably have some plans for it. So we might see that this tank might have a much, much lower dispersion value than other vehicles when it comes out stock, and maybe they'll introduce a new modification that will buff its accuracy to a great extent. Maybe we'll see that come in. Now, one of the other things that they also improved were the control systems on the M60, so what we might see also is that this vehicle is far more maneuverable than the previous M60. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've always felt that the original M60 was a little bit sluggish. Now, it wasn't heavy tank sluggish, it was actually very good mobility-wise, but we might actually see this thing be even better mobility-wise, so that's going to be interesting. As far as firepower goes, it's the same L7 105mm gunner. I believe it's the M60A. I could be wrong on that, Mark. I will correct that on screen if I am wrong. And it's most likely going to have the same ammunition choices: discarding Sabo, Hesh, and Heat FS. So we're most likely going to see those three ammunition types appear on this vehicle yet again as they appeared on the M60. If you've managed to watch this long, then you obviously have a terrible taste in commentators, and you should probably go and find somebody like Jingles. However, if you disagree with that point and you want to hear me talk some more about a few things, I'm going to be making an update video coming in the next couple of days, detailing my plans for the early part of August. I'm going to be going on a road trip, but I will be discussing the details of that in that video. So if you got to this point, thank you for listening. I have been many miles away, and have a good one.